So this is your lab day, and you guys are going to do a couple things having to do with dendrology, which is the study of trees. All right, so it includes the taxonomy, the ID, like where they exist, the ecology of them, and it comes from the Greek word dendro, meaning tree, and ologia, meaning the study of, all in Greek. So a tree is tall, it's about 15 feet. It has one stem, a trunk, and it can grow in diameter. It's also a perennial plant, so it lives for more than 2 years. A shrub is much smaller. It's less than 15 years. It's multi-stemmed, but it is also capable of diameter growth. It's also a perennial plant, which means that it comes up for more than 2 years in a row. So what we're going to do is we're going to identify trees. You guys all at this point in time have gone outside and tried to identify, well, not tried to identify, you have come up with pictures of leaves and stems and bark, and we are going to try to identify it. So I'm going to give you guys some characteristics here that you can identify trees by. Right? So coniferous versus deciduous trees. Your conifer trees are cone bearing and they have needles. Your deciduous trees are broad, flat leaves, and they drop every year in a very appropriate season named fall. Conifers have these needles, seeds that develop inside cones. They're evergreen year round, otherwise known as gymnosperms, conifers, softwoods, and you have trees like pine, spruce, hemlock, and firs. Here are your typical, very, like Christmas tree trees, your Douglas fir, Fraser fir, Scotch pines. All right. So you can have two different types of conifer like leaves. So they're both, you have the needle like ones, which then can be singles where you see here, they are attached, every single needle is attached to the stem. Whereas this one over here, there are 5 needles that go into a cluster or a bundle, and then that attaches to the stem of the tree. And then you have these ones over here, which are scale-like. So they look like overlapping scales, like you would see on a snake. And you can see this down here as well. So these are scale-like. Oh, and here's what I was saying. So you've got the clusters or the bundles or in singles. All right, deciduous trees, broad, flat leaves. They lose their leaves each year in the fall. Angiosperms, flowering plants, broadleaves, hardwoods. We are in a hardwood dominated forest here. Oak, maple, beech, aspen, and ash. Deciduous examples. Lots of different ways you can ID trees. Elm trees, they have this very characteristic vase shape here, okay? Honey locusts have big, long seed pods. Oaks have acorns. White birch, you see the bark of that tree. Also, you have a paper birch, which that has a darker bark, but it peels off like paper, right? So you have, for this deciduous trees, you have leaf arrangement, leaf type, and the leaf margin, which is the edge of it, and the leaf shape. So for leaf arrangement, you have opposite. You have the main stem, and this is the leaves and the branches come out opposite of each other. So one is here and one is here. Alternate, the leaves and the twigs grow on the branch in an alternating pattern. So one is here, nothing is opposite of it, but you have alternate over here. All right, so here's another picture of the alternate. Opposite is like if you put up your arms, okay? And alternate is like if you have like one of your legs and one of your arms up. And then there's this other wonky one. It's called world, and that's when they all come off of the center. And you don't see this one very often, right? So what is this, opposite or alternate? Alternate. How about this one? Opposite or alternate? It's neither. It's world. Okay, take a quick look at this one. Okay, you can see the red is on the stem where it comes out. And this one is alternate as well. All right, so then we have leaf type. You have simple leaf and you have compound leaves. Compound leaves are hard to identify because in a compound leaf, this is your petiole, this thing right here. In a simple leaf, there's one leaf like we think of as a leaf. Whereas this guy here, this is a compound leaf. This is the petiole, and leaflets grow out of it. This entire thing with these 7 leaflets is one leaf. Okay, so if you see a bunch of almost like green stems around a tree, but you see a lot of small leaves, most likely it's a compound leaf and they've just fallen apart. That's what you're going to see this time of year. This guy is palmately compound because it looks like the hand, okay, somebody's hand. And then this one is doubly compound. You typically see simple leaves, less so compound leaves, and then you don't as often see opposite. You see more alternate leaf arrangements. Okay, so simple, only one leaf blade, joined by its stalk to the woody stem, like maple, oak, aspen, beech. Compound leaves are made up of those leaflets. They're joined to a midrib that is not woody, so usually it's green. Things like ash, walnuts, and sumacs all have compound leaves. So is this a simple or a compound leaf? Compound. Simple or compound? Okay, simple. This thing right here is called a lobe. All right, people can get confused. It looks like it's a lobe or sometimes a sinus, but like your earlobe. And then is this simple or compound? And it's compound, and it's doubly compound. All right. So then you have leaf margin. You can have lobed. Okay, you see these right here. Smooth, toothed. You can also have serrate, finely serrate, coarsely serrate, doubly serrate. Okay. This is a characteristic that we less so use to ID trees. And then you have a whole crap ton of leaf shapes. Okay. Spatulate, flabellate, those are my favorites. All right. So you can also ID a tree. Some have characteristic barks, twigs, flowers, fruits or seeds, cones, the overall shape of it. Okay. The American sycamore is the one on the right. Very characteristic bark. Here, this one looks like a shag bark hickory. White, not white, sugar maples tend to have bark that look like that. And this is some sort of a black locust or a honey locust. They have thick, ropey barks, and one of those has thorns on it as well. Okay, then you have twig clues. So I asked you guys to take a picture of the buds at the end of the trees because these buds look very different than this one. This one right here, I can tell you off the bat, it's a horse chestnut. Very, um, a very characteristic, this bud is very characteristic of this tree. And then you have other ones that are super long and thin like this one. That's most likely a beech. And then some are even fuzzy or tomentose, right? And then you have different flowers. So an acorn is from an oak tree. This is from some sort of a betula, which is the genus of it. This is a samara. It comes off of a maple. This is an Osage orange or a monkey fruit that comes off of an Osage orange. It's a chestnut. And then these guys here come off of a calorie pear. Calorie pear is, I think, the only, and it's not native to our area, but we plant them a whole bunch, and it has whorled leaves. Okay, and then you have cones. They are very distinctive to each tree as well. Okay, so that's what I got for you for this one.